What's up? What's happening here?
Tommy lied to all of us.
You had a lot of nerve to request a meeting with me.
Tommy needs a new partner.
Tommy's just one guy.
Before I let them take it from me, it's just business.
Now, today we're going to be going through all the exclusive images and clips for episode 8, the big one in the world of Power. You guys don't need me to tell you how big episode 8 is in any of season of Power, but more so with this episode, especially with it being the final season of Force. And also if technically episode 9 is the finale of Force, with episode 10 taking it in a completely new direction. That's according to Joseph Sikora. That basically means this would be the normal episode 9. It really is going to be interesting to see how they play this, because we're all expecting Tariq to show up in episode 10. So let's see how they set the foundation and how they wrap up the storylines for the main players in Force. That goes for law enforcement. Bobby DeFranco will be on the hunt after he uncovers Stacey Marks' death. There's also the added element of AUSA Seng working for the Marquez cartel. There's the aftermath of Tommy being kicked out of CBI, which will no doubt set up Tommy and Shanti's partnership. The aftermath for CBI, where do they go from here? Maria will also be in trouble in episode 8, and is this finally the moment where we see JP's death? Is it finally over for JP and the beginning of the bloodbath? As usual, we're going to be running through a quick preview for all things episode 8, but first up, let's start with the title and synopsis. Now, the title of episode 8 is Build Back Better, and the synopsis reads: after a major shakeup, Tommy moves fast to rebuild, with the stakes being higher than ever before. Now, I do think episode 8 will pick up from where episode 7 left off. We saw Tommy being kicked out of CBI, and then we saw him killing Stacey Marks. So we are going to see Bobby DeFranco entering the crime scene. He'll uncover the white sheet and find his wife, which will no doubt set him on a path of vengeance and revenge. He'll go to AUSA Seng to question what happened, but I do think he already knows. Stacey Marks had this conversation with him towards the end of episode 7, where she did actually admit she was compromised, and Tommy was the one who had her under his thumb. So no doubt he will have an inkling Tommy had something to do with Stacey Marks' death. He's going to be fueled with hurt, pain, he'll definitely want revenge. And I also raised the point earlier this week of how there potentially may be dirt thrown on Stacey Marks' name, so he may even be trying to clear Stacey Marks' name at the same time. Now, on the other side, you also have AUSA Seng. He'll probably be working with Bobby DeFranco to try and nail Tommy Egan once and for all, because it also benefits him and the Marquez cartel. He manages to catch the person Stacey Marks couldn't, and the person that Stacey Marks may look like she was actually working with. We went through the burner phone, Pageant Inc., the donations. It's going to make Stacey Marks look hella sus. So he will be after Tommy for two reasons: to make a claim for the US Attorney's Office and for the Marquez cartel. Now, another question that I do have is, does Bobby DeFranco also begin to uncover more dirt in this office? That's when he is on the hunt for Tommy, and I do actually expect him to come face to face with Tommy in episode 8, by the way. We went through the flashing lights on Tommy's face in my trailer breakdown. It does look like he is stopped by law enforcement in episode 8. But does Bobby DeFranco also begin to uncover that Seng is working for the Marquez cartel? And none of this basically adds up. Does Stacey Marks' death send Bobby DeFranco kind of down a rabbit hole? Possibly, maybe, but you know with Tommy, I'm sure he'll have a plan for law enforcement and for the murder weapon, and maybe even pinning it on someone else, because there is no way Tommy Egan gets caught. Not yet anyway. I do think there could be a situation where he potentially is run out of Chicago, but definitely not yet. Now, on Tommy, there was also an exclusive clip that was released earlier this week, which was the aftermath of Tommy being kicked out of CBI. And after he killed Stacey Marks, he was at home in conversation with Maria, and let's just say he wasn't exactly in the best of moods. He's got all these bruises around his neck and shoulder area from the fight with Diamond. We've also got him mentioning he can't believe he's been kicked out of something that's basically his, something that he built, and he'd rather burn the coalition down to the ground, with Maria's response being, "Don't burn it down, take it back," which is why Maria is Tommy's ride or die. Tommy definitely has made enough money to retire. We've seen him dropping a lot of cash in season 3, but Maria understands who Tommy is and what he's built. Now, how does he plan on taking it back or building back better, just like the episode title teased? It's probably with a partnership with Shanti, and maybe like Maria said in the episode 8 trailer, with the addition of Miguel Garcia. This is something we've been speaking about for weeks and weeks, because you could just sense the alliances will shift at some point. It's typical Power of how they begin a season of Power, and by the time you get to maybe the middle towards the end, alliances have completely shifted and changed across the chessboard. That's the situation we now have here. And having someone like Shanti in your corner, possibly maybe even Miguel, honestly, it's not a bad couple of partners to have. Even though we know Shanti's tried to snake Tommy before, we have to keep that in mind. She was working behind his back, but all of a sudden, her and Janar's relationship is over. Tommy's partnership with CBI is over, they still have the Viagra Triangle clubs under their control, so why not use that as a foundation and build back together? With Miguel, we know they have a common interest in Maria, her baby, but also the Marquez cartel. So with that being said, all of a sudden you start seeing things starting to align, just like we've been speaking about over the past few weeks. I do also think having Shanti by his side is a very smart move and a strong choice, despite what she was planning before. In the long term, it definitely makes sense, because she's a character who gets shit done, no questions asked. She's fierce, strong-minded, strong-willed, and also determined to take control over Chicago as well. Really perfect for someone like Tommy, who's not only just now been kicked out of CBI, but someone who's been missing someone since Liliana. She definitely doesn't fill the void by any stretch, according to Gary Lennon, but she definitely is a very dangerous ally to have in his corner, no doubt. Now we know Tommy will be making moves to build back better, build back stronger, and he will also have some sort of plan, which is why we have him here meeting with Che. But what about the aftermath with CBI? Where do they go from here? We've got Double J, Junkie Jannard, and Double D, Drunk Diamond. I do think they are going to be on red alert because Jannard and Diamond will know what Tommy's capable of. Diamond knows the way Tommy moves, they're going to have to make sure their coalition is tight, especially if Tommy does target the coalition with Shanti. Maria said, don't burn it down, take it back, and I definitely do agree. Why burn down the infrastructure that you built? Take it back. But the problem with Double J and Double D is exactly that. Jannard is back on the product and Diamond is back on the drink. Their empire will definitely crumble under their new hierarchy, and I have no doubt it starts in episode 8. It's going to be a mixture of both, Tommy and Shanti making some very smart moves and smart decisions, but also with Jannard and Diamond probably making some silly moves of their own that just pushes along their downfall. So I do think the end is near for both. No way they're able to sustain CBI without Tommy, especially because both are liabilities at this moment in time. So question going forward, going into episode 8, will there potentially be a split within CBI? Will we see a moment like this, for example, where some aren't happy with the change? Now in episode 8, we know Maria will also be in trouble. We've got her in some sort of car park, and this will be the moment Titus does come for Maria. I think she knows the life that she's in, dating someone like Tommy and also being a Garcia. And she'll also know the trouble that Tommy's in from their conversation around him being kicked out of the coalition. And also the Marquez cartel coming for them, that's not something new either. They came for them way back in episode 2 as well. But with this one, we're not going to spend too much time on it. I do think Maria escapes. I do think she will be fine, at least for now. Based on previous teasers and trailers that I've shown you guys, we know Maria will be running Titus over. And he is also another character who is on my death predictions. But moving over to JP. Now this is the huge one in the world of Force. Will we be seeing JP's death in episode 8? I definitely think we will. We've got a couple of pictures of him, DMAC and Tommy, and I do think it is all poised for us to finally see that big moment, I really do. We've also got Jannard with what looks like him in JP's house pulling the trigger, and with him being on his Double J shit, with him, CBI and Tommy now most likely working against each other, with the addition of Shanti, with possibly King Kilo's release too, I do think that also happens soon. You add that into the mix of him potentially wanting DMAC dead and JP getting in the way of that, I do think this has to be the moment JP gets caught in the crossfire. It really is going to be a heartbreaking moment, no doubt, not just for Tommy, but we also have to factor in the impact that it will have on DMAC and also Kate. Why would Kate come back to Chicago on the drop of a dime when she's been in New York this entire time? It has to be because of JP's death. But again, I don't think it will just be JP's death in episode 8 that we see. I do think we are going to see at least one more. I really do think the bloodbath starts now. For those who haven't caught up on my death predictions breakdown, I've spoken about King Kilo, Manny Fresh, Kendra, we've spoken about Miguel, Double J, DMAC, Marshall, the potential Red funeral as well. We've also gone through the funeral scene and every other main player left on the chessboard. So the bloodbath definitely starts here. But that's a wrap for the preview for All Things episode 8. No doubt it's going to be a huge episode in the world of Force that will no doubt bring Tommy Egan to his knees. So I do think this episode will be the end of JP, but I do also think it could be the beginning of an absolute bloodbath with a number of characters being taken off the chessboard, which then sets up the grand finale and all-out war. But drop all your thoughts and predictions down below on All Things episode 8, and as usual, I will catch you guys back here sometime maybe late morning or early afternoon for my episode breakdown. With that being said, drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.